Hey guys, it's me, Mr. 250, and welcome back to Umineko. Apologies about the lack of updates over the past couple of days. It's basically been, I tried to do both, I tried to record like both of my series, and so I'd start with Nier, and then I would run out of time, and I had Nier done, but I didn't have this done, so I decided just to push ahead Nier a couple days. So, in order to make up for it, I think I'm going to try a full hour of recording today. So, hopefully that turns out well. Let's start with Rosa, who just sent off the servants because she's... well, she needs them to do something. I think, like, clean some bowls or something. But more importantly, she doesn't trust them right now, so she's probably going to reflect that.
これで今ここにいるのは後ろ宮の人間だけね。
確かにそうなりますね。狼を全部追い出したってことっすか。
That's what it looks like.
ローザおばさん。
With that one sentence, Aunt Rose's gaze grew sharp. Apparently, she had picked up on the sarcasm. Aunt Rosa laughed lightly.
バトラ君は頭の回転が早いのね。賢い子は好きよ。話が早いわ。
おお、バトラー頭いい？これ解ける？ 64 ページの難しいの。おお。
マリアは少しの間テレビを見ていなさい。ママはバトラ君たちとお話があるの。
おお。
ローザおばさん、パズルの話はバトラ君に聞いたよ。用心深いのは悪いことじゃないと思うけど、さすがに疑り深すぎるのもどうかと思うよ。
真の犯人がベアトリーチェかどうかは別にして、少なくとも使用人たちがその一味であることを疑うことはできると思うの。兄さんたちが殺されていた最初の殺人、とても残酷な仕打ちがされていたわよね。あれが一人でできる真似に見える。
Okay. That makes sense. It also makes me think, and I don't know if she'll bring it up or not, maybe it's something she wouldn't have even thought about, but maybe another idea she might have towards this theory is that maybe the servants were tired of dealing with all the relatives crap. Maybe.
謎の来客、ベアトリーチェ様が夜鍋をして、チクチクやったのかもしれねえぜ。
ジェシカちゃんの部屋の扉をめぐるマスターキーの件は、使用人の誰かが関わっている証拠じゃない。
Yeah, we never quite figured that one out. Only the master key could have locked the door to Jessica's room. In that case, we can only suppose that one of the servants locked it. No, wait.
チェス盤をひっくり返すぜ。おかしいよ、ローザおばさん。なんで犯人はジェシカを殺した後、わざわざ施錠したんだ？
Yeah, I do suppose that would turn more suspicion towards themselves. In all actuality, if they wanted to remain vague, they probably would have wanted to not lock it.
施錠すれば、マスターキーの持ち主が疑われるのは必然。
If it wasn't locked, anyone's equally suspicious at that point.
わざわざ施錠する必要がないぜ。そうだよ。バトラ君の言う通りだ。わざわざ疑われるようなことをする理由がない。
それは面白い考えよね。もちろん、私もそれは考える。
Did you?
だとしたら、施錠した人物は使用人を疑わせたくて、マスターキーなしであの扉を閉めた。でもそれは不可能。でしょ？
Not necessarily, but I guess we're gonna have to go with Beatrice's red words here. Though they wouldn't know about them, so... I mean, you could say somebody with a knowledge in locksmithing of some sort might be able to figure it out. That's right, if there was a trick that could lock the door without a master key, this would be a good disguise aimed at casting doubt on the servants. Because that's the thing. For our puzzle's purposes, we were trusting Beatrice's red text, but I wonder why no one would think possibly that only the master keys could be the only way to do it, if they don't know that, you know, Beatrice is saying that's the only way to do it. I don't know, maybe just overthinking that one. If the culprit wanted us to isolate ourselves and attack us one by one, this trick would also be effective at giving rise to paranoia. However, there is no way to lock that door without using a master key.
マスターキーを使わずに閉める方法がない。なんてルドルフ兄さんの言っていた悪魔の証明になるんじゃない？私たちには想像もつかない方法で閉められたのかもしれない。
Like magic.
私たち
Oh
に
wait,
思いつかない
forgot
から
we can't
と
talk
い
about
って
magic.
未知のトリックがあることを否定することにはならない。
そりゃそうだけどよ。つまりあれか？疑わしきは黒ってわけなのか？
具体的なトリックはわからないけれど、それでも外角はわかるの。申し訳ないけど、カノン君を犯人だと仮定すると非常に簡単に説明できる。死体がない理由までね。
だってカノン君はマスターキーを持ってなかったんですよ。他の使用人ならともかくカノン君にだけは施錠はできなかったはず。
なるほど。それでローザおばさんはジェシカの部屋に入って早々に、俺たちローザおばさんこそ普段の様子から想像できるより頭の回転が速いな。
妹の頭の回転速度は常に姉マイナス1よ。今は誰にも気を使う必要がないからせいせいするわ。
George Aniki realized that she was referring to Aunt Eva, and seemed a little disturbed about how we should take that sarcasm.
ごめん。僕にもわかるように説明してほしいな。カノン君のマスターキーはジェシカちゃんのポケットに入って密室に閉じ込められていた。施錠した後に部屋の外からポケットに入れるなんて芸当は不可能なはず。
違うんだよ、兄貴。ローザおばさんの想像しているやり方なら、このトリックはカノン君にしか使えない。そしてジェシカのポケットにマスターキーを入れたまま鍵なしで施錠することができる。そしてその結果として死体もなくなることになる。
どうやって？
Yeah, how?
鍵なしでどうやって施錠するんだい？
簡単よ。ジョージ君だって帰宅したら施錠するでしょ。つまみをひねってカチリとね。
まさか。いやでもカノン君の姿はどこにも。
兄貴にもピンときたみてえだな。ローザおばさんが室内を探したのはそういうことだ。内側から鍵を閉め、ジェシカのポケットに鍵を突っ込んだカノン君がどこかに隠れて俺たちをやり過ごそうとしているのを探したんだ。
That was the simplest closed room trick. It meant that he had been hiding inside the closed room after the murder had been committed. And if he could get out after those who discovered the body left, the closed room murder would work perfectly.
私たちはあの部屋を探したけれど何も見つけられなかった。でもだからといってあの部屋に使用人たちしか知らない秘密の隠し通路のようなものがないとは言えない。
Which of course they don't know that there isn't a secret passage.
それがどこに隠されていたかはわからないけれど、その隠し通路を仮定し推理することで彼しかありえないと断言できるのよ。
その推理はよ、俺も一番最初に考えた。一番嫌な推理だから、一番最初にその可能性を潰したかった。
カノンはこの部屋で殺された。そなたはカノンが犯人であると疑いそうになったため、真っ先にその可能性を潰すためにこれを復唱させたのだ。分かっておる分かっておる。
だからその次に考えたのはこうだった。あの部屋にいたのは実は3人だったという説だ。ジェシカとカノン君は被害者、そして犯人である来客ベアトリーチェも一緒にいたという考えだ。
そなたは人間であるわらわが 魔法を使わずに犯行を行ったことにしたいのだったな。
Well, obviously, that would basically be the only out that battler could take that would make sense without using magic and without it being any of his family members. That we know of, mind you.
なるほ
But
ど。そなたにぴった
that would be a
り
theory
の
battler
親
would be
切で
okay
あ
with.
るぞ。
お前は二人を殺し、内側から施錠した。そして、カノン君の死体を担いで、普通の人は気づかない秘密の方法。つまり、隠し扉を使って部屋から脱出したんだと読んだ。しかし、お前に赤で言われちまった。あの部屋に隠し扉の類はないってな。
うん。お前たちの知らない秘密の通路は存在せぬぞ。ノックスだったかバンダインだったか。何でもミステリーには秘密の通路があってはいけないらしい。
Mm-hmm.
そのお作法にわらわも従ったということ
Oh,
よ。
wasn't it the Nox 10 Commandments or something?
つまり名探偵は部屋を調べ尽くさずして隠し通路がないと断言できるわけだ。
I believe we went over that in Virtue's Last Reward, which was kind of funny considering how it was actually used.
人間の推理ごっことはなんとお気楽なものよの。
くそ。でけえこと言いやがるぜ。ありがとよ。魔女様のお取り計らいのおかげで、俺も部屋を探し尽くさずに、あの部屋に隠し扉がないと断言できるぜ。
うん。この部屋に隠し扉はない。扉と窓以外に出入りする方法はない。
The see, I feel like maybe it's just kind of like whenever you get those math problems and they give you extra information to throw you off. But the addition of the windows there definitely seems odd. Of course, it might literally mean that the windows can be used, but there is no way that they would have been used because they lock from the inside.
ってことはよ。
Maybe something, maybe not.
今、ローザおばさんがぶってる自信満々の間違ってるってわけだ。しかも悔しいことに、この仮説は反証不能だ。魔女の隠し扉はないと断言すれば、それで決着する。しかし人間の俺は、ローザおばさんにそれを反論しても受け入れられないだろう。
Well, obviously, Rosa can't see red text.
隠し扉がないことを人間は証明できない。悪魔の証明になっちまう。くそ。魔女ってのは便利だな。
そんな、あるかないかもわからない隠し扉を理由に、カノン君を犯人呼ばわりするなんて、僕は納得できないな。
納得できないならより納得できる推理を聞かせて。ないのよ。私はずっと考えてる。これしかないのよ。ジョージ君はシャノンちゃんと仲が良かったわね。だから使用人全員が犯人であることは受け入れがたいと思うの。私もシャノンちゃんが犯人の一味であるなんて信じたくない。でも全員であるか否かはともかく、確実にあの中に犯人もしくは共犯がいるのよ。
Well, now that she's openly said that, I can definitely see Rosa getting really violent with the servants later when things start going even more south than they already are.
それだけは見誤っちゃダメ。
カノン君以外にも狼がいると見てたんだ。ジェシカの部屋で犯人はカノン君だと大騒ぎしたの。使用人たちの反応を見るためだったっていう。
ええ、そうよ。そしてその結果、私は一層の疑いを持つに至ったの。確実に使用人の中に狼がいる。確実にね。そして狼と羊のパズルのように普段はおとなしくしているけれど、チャンスがジェシカちゃんは一人で船に乗った羊よ。あのパズルでは頭数の時は襲ってこないけど、私たちのパズルは違う。チャンスと人数次第なら頭数でも襲ってくる。ジェシカちゃんが殺されたように。
僕は 怒りたいことがある。じゃあ厨房へ行かされてるシャノンは危険な状態じゃないか。今すぐ僕たちも厨房へ行くべきだ。誰が狼だろうと狼でなかろうと、僕たち全員が揃っていれば均衡するならそれを保ち続けるべきだと思う。
シャノンちゃんはお父様のところへ源氏さんと一緒に行った。その時に孤立したはずなのに殺されなかった。源氏さんも狼ではないから。違うわ、二人とも狼だったからよ。
Oh, it all makes sense.
シャノンは悪事の片棒を担ぐような人じゃない。いくらローザおばさんでもそれは聞き流せません。今の発言に対し僕は取り消しを要求します。
兄貴の前で悪いが、その論法エヴァおばさんの雰囲気にそっくりだな。
Yeah, doesn't it?
こっちが反論できなきゃ自動的に自分が正しいみたいな。やっぱり血は争えないな、おばさん。
私だって今の自分はあまり褒められたものじゃないとは思ってる。でもね、私は母なの。マリアの無事を守るためなら鬼にもなるわ。本当ならマリアと二人きりでどこかに閉じこもっていたいくらいよ。でも私は同時にあなたたちの母でもあるつもりなの。今やあなたたちは私の子供も同然。私は自分の子じゃないからといってあなたたちを見捨てたりしない。絶対。
そりゃどうも。
私はあなたたちの母として油断しないでと警告したかっただけなの。
I don't really know if they'd want her to be their mother. She's pretty mean.
常に私の目の届くところにいて私があなたたちを守ってあげる。
ついでに俺たちが狼でないことも監視してくれるってわけだ。そりゃありがたいぜ。そういうおばさんは自分が狼ではないって証明はできるのかよ。
ええ、できるわ。
Oh.
即
Oh,
答
I'd
す
love to
ね。
hear the reasoning for this one.
どうやって？
これよ、これが証拠よ。
So basically force. Thanks, Rosa. I'm glad we're all so understanding of each other. Let's see, but that was only for an instant. Oh, just a joke. She immediately lowered the gun, laughing impishly. But to me, the time I spent staring down the barrel of the gun felt like an eternity. Good joke, Rosa.
その銃がどうローザおばさんが
Everyone's just gonna ignore the
証
fact
明する
that
というん
Rosa
で
just
すか。
showed extreme aggression for about a second there.
考えてもみて、私が犯人だったらどう？使用人たちが出ていったこの千載一遇の機会を逃すと思う？あなたたちをズドンと撃ってあとは適当な言い訳をするだけよ。
Unless, of course, she's trying to get us off her guard by saying that, and then she's gonna shoot us in about 3 seconds.
窓の外にベアトリーチェが現れて銃を撃ってきたとかね。
Ah, yes, of course, the old Beatrice and the gun.
私は2発を
Situation.
撃ち返したと称して2発分の空薬莢を床に捨てればいい。
そりゃすげえ乱暴な理論だが確かに一理あるぜ。
クラウス兄さんが昔よく言ってたわ。力こそ正義ってね。これがまさにそうなのかしら。ごめんなさいね、二人とも。私も今朝からの事件続きでかなり冷静さを失ってる。普段の私を知る二人から見れば今の私は余裕がなくて少し短気そうに見えるかもしれない。
Inflexible and a little short-tempered. What does that sound like?
でも分かって、私は悪意ある犯人からあなたたちを守りたい。そのためには鬼になる。それだけのことなの。怒らせるようなことを言ってごめんなさいね。バトラ君、ジョージ君、仲直りしましょう。
Could we do that without you pointing the gun at us? An unsatisfied expression rose to George Aniki's face. He probably couldn't forgive the damage done to Shannon's honor. What about me? Several bits of circumstantial evidence hinted at the servants' participation. I didn't want to believe that one of them was the culprit. Or possibly colluding. Colluding? I'm going to say the word cooperating, because I'm pretty sure that's what it means, with the culprit. But in the current situation, that was nothing but wishful thinking. Who should I believe? In the first place, who is the culprit? Were there accomplices? If so, how many? It seems that I've only been suspecting the people involved. I had quickly forgotten that 19th person. The guest, Beatrice, who had come yesterday and boldly called herself the Golden Witch. I hadn't actually seen her face. I heard that she was like a double of the witch in that portrait. But because I hadn't seen her directly, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't really feel like a 19th person was on the island. So I had unconsciously been hallucinating that the culprit was one of the 18. Darn it. Come out, Beatrice. If you're really the bad guy, then act like the bad guy and show yourself, laughing at us in a high-pitched voice and looking down at us. Just like the bad guy in one of those dramas who, even though they're exposed as the culprit, aggressively says, "Is there any proof?" Shut up, I don't want to listen to your stupid words. There were 5 humans in the kitchen, but it was very quiet, filled only with the sound of the rain. It was only accented by the sound of Shannon and Kumasawa washing the dishes. Goto was using the leftovers from breakfast and lunch as ingredients for a soup. Rosa had suspected that poison might have been added to the food, so they had decided to eat canned food, but it hadn't really been satisfying. But Goto thought that she was being too careful, so he was spontaneously creating a soup to be served only to those that wanted to drink it. Shannon and Kumasawa were washing the dishes that the food had been arranged on. On the inside, they thought maybe Goto should be the one to wash them, since he had been the one who wanted the food on the plates in the first place. But they left their complaints unsaid for the time being. Genji and Nanja were facing each other across a crude chess set, which had many years of experience. It had still only just begun, and because the opening game of the experienced players had been endlessly refined, it looked like a ceremony where they just moved specified pieces in a specified order.
良い匂いですね。やはり缶詰ではこうはいきませんね。
開封した食材だけで作りましたので、毒が混入しているなんてことはありませんよ。皆さんの分もお作りしていますので、ぜひ食べましょう。もちろん私もお毒にしますよ。安心して召し上がってください。
本当にいい匂いですね。合田さんのまかない料理は本当に美味しいです。
美味しい材料を買ってきて、美味しい料理が作れるのは当たり前です。私は師匠にあり合わせのもので美味しく作るまかない料理を極めてこそ真の料理人だと習いました。
それはいい師匠でしたな。おかげで私はとても美味しいスープをごちそうになれそうです。
親族の皆様にお召し上がりいただくための材料で作ることになってしまったのは残念。
ローザさんも朝からのいろいろでお疲れなのでしょう。無理もないことです。
でもそのおかげで美味しい食材のスープが飲めるのですからね。
Rosa had fervently told everyone that they didn't notice the danger they were in, and that they must suspect that poison was mixed in with the food. The atmosphere in this place accepted that, but their hunger wouldn't be overcome by that momentary emotion.
皮肉にも普段の私たちではとても味わえないスープとなりました。できるなら客間の皆さんにもぜひ振る舞いたいところなのですが。
ローザ様のご指示に背いている以上、よした方がいいだろう。飲みたいものだけ飲むといい。
見えないところで上手に息抜きするのも 使用人の心得でございますものね。
When Kumasawa cackled, Shannon and Goda also laughed. It seemed that, in an area where only their fellow servants were gathered, they could be very relaxed. Shannon didn't like Goda's occasional dishonesty, but she knew that there was no falsehood in his childish smile when he cooked food, nor in his desire that people enjoy his food. So, even though it was a little aggravating to be made to wash the dishes, she couldn't really hate him. However, they couldn't have dreamed that Rosa was calling them wolves in the parlor at exactly the same moment when they were spending their time peacefully like this. Uh-oh. At that time, several of the servants heard a sound like something was being dragged, and then a thump. It seemed like the sound made by a servant outside the back door, when they were carrying a mountain of trash bags on a rainy day. Or maybe when a servant was returning from work wearing a raincoat. So after hearing that sound, at first, none of them noticed anything out of the ordinary. But they quickly realized. Uh-oh. In a situation where everyone was either in the kitchen or the parlor, who in the world was at the back door? I guess it could be Kinzo. As the servants all looked at each other, they checked to make sure that each one of them knew what that sound meant. The servants knew the mansion's layout well, so they understood how incomprehensible it would be for someone from the parlor to actually go outside in this typhoon. Go all the way around and come up to this back door. Then, was it Kinzo? They couldn't imagine that Kinzo, who never left his study, would dash out into the middle of this typhoon and come to the back of the house, where only low-class people came in or out. Oh, come on, Kumasawa. I bet it was just like a tree branch. Shannon and Kumasawa drew close together, fearfully looking at the back door. Goda spooked. As Goda fearfully approached the back door, he called out. And he checked with his eyes the location of a butcher's knife set in the nearby sink. He didn't pick it up yet. He would grow to regret that, because there was still a possibility that this was a member of the family. However, that possibility wasn't possible, except it is possible. Just unlikely. There was no response from across the door to Goda's initial question. Maybe his voice had been so quiet that it hadn't reached through all the wind and rain outside.
Genji-san. 南條先生と女たちは下がった。一体どなたなんですかな?
Genji took a knife with a classical design from a stationery box placed near the chess set. It was something to be used instead of a paper knife to open envelopes for statements of delivery and bills. But it was fundamentally a knife, so the blade in it could injure someone. Genji hid it in his sleeve with a well-practiced manner. Then they both approached the back door, Goda silently signaling his approval. Goda cautiously approached the back door and slowly started to open it. Oh no! Who cooked this terrible food? Oh wait, never mind. The shadow of a person suddenly shuffled into sight, landed on its knees and fell over. Goda fell backwards onto his backside and couldn't get up. That human shadow was soaked with rain, smeared with mud and drenched with blood. Canon, I thought you disappeared.
Canon? 大丈夫か? 南條先生.
It was Canon. His breath was feeble, and not dead, and the puddles of mud he left quickly became drenched bright red. When Nanjo held him and turned him face up, there was a deep gruesome scar right in the center of his chest, as though a spear or something had been stuck there. Even now, deep red blood poured out from there. Well, this certainly isn't going to make the servants seem less suspicious now, is it? I think it's a bit too late for first aid.
カノンさん、傷口に手を当ててしっかり押さえてください。使用人室のベッドに運びましょう。皆さん手を貸してください。
さあカノンさん、しばらく我慢してください。
しっかりして、もう大丈夫よ。だから
Is it alright? I don't think it's alright.
とにかく使用人室へ運ぶ。
Anyway, let's carry him in there. He can die in
噂
there.
はローザ様にカノンが見つかったことの報告を。
待って、ローザ様にはダメ。
待ってください。カノンさんがローザ様にはダメだと言っています。
どういう意味なの、カノン君。
今はいい。早く使用人室へ運ぶ。熊沢、ローザ様にはまだお伝えする。カノンに事情を聞いてからにする。
After appearing in this horrible state, he had said not to tell Rosa. That could only mean something very disquieting. An eerie impatience rose to their faces.
さあ皆さん、急いで運びましょう。早く早く。
Well, this is an interesting turn of events. I'm gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. Maybe Canon will tell us something of interest that might actually help us figure out what's going on. Anyway, be back in just a moment.